Hey, everybody. I am Sarah Mitchell, and this is the Beyond the Table podcast where we talk about real life, real connection, and how to prepare our families for the real issues that we all face beyond the table. This week, we are talking about connection with our younger kids. It's episode 6, and it's one you don't want to miss. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the table. We are here. I'm joined by some really great friends tonight, and I'm super excited about our conversation. We've been tackling this idea of connection for most of this entire season. And so before we dive into that anymore, I just want these guys to introduce themselves to you.
My name's Aaron.
And I'm Jordan, and we have been married for 3.5 years now. We have one daughter. She's 2.5. Her name's Carter, but we call her Littles like all the time. So that'll probably be what comes out when I talk about her.
Good. And I'm Carrie.
And I'm Paul. We've been married almost 20 years now, and our son Samuel is going to be 9 in July.
Awesome. I'm just really grateful to have you guys here and have your different years of experience and different kids, right? Because I can't just only talk about my own. That would be super limiting. So in a couple of episodes before this, we've been talking about connecting with your teenage sons and teenage daughters, and they've been really great conversations. So you can go back and watch those if you haven't. But one thing that stood out to me as I was doing those was that as important as it is to understand how our daughters and our sons are different, a lot of the main principles that we talked about in those episodes, like for girls, one thing that came up was being interested in what they're interested in. That totally applies across both genders. And the same in the boys. We talked a lot about letting them grow in their independence. And I know with a 14-year-old daughter, she is all about being independent right now. So even if you don't have teenage sons or daughters, those episodes are great to go back and check out. And so I'm excited because tonight we're talking about younger kids, like elementary age and all the way down to toddlers. And so you guys have got a younger boy and you guys have got a younger girl. But I think a lot of the principles are gonna kind of cross over, so I'm excited about that. Why would you guys say, in your experience so far, that connection is so important with our younger kids?
I think connection for us is so important because for our young boy, it seems to me, and it's been evident through our effort and intentionality and connection, that he feels more secure in himself, and he's getting a sense of even identity, even though a lot of what we're doing is maybe our ideas or we're generating things to do. He's getting a sense of an identity as a part of that group, and so I think that gives him some security, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's foundational for kind of setting that tone and helping them know, like, that you're a part of something, right? That you're not just you on your own as an individual, but that you're actually a part of something. And to me, like, when I think about our kids and how we've trained them up to be a part of the Mitchell team, it's like they are already set up to know that they're going to be part of a bigger team, whether that's the body of Christ or whatever, because that's really is how God designed us to all work, right? As partners and in a team. What have you guys noticed? You have a toddler. So why is connection important with a toddler?
Well, I think for me personally, this is our first child and daughter, it's this connection between when she was first born is what I kind of go back to. And just holding her for the first time, that connection of like, wow, I'm a dad now. And it's like a feeling it's hard to describe. And when you have that connection, you feel that responsibility and just this, it's almost like having the Holy Spirit coming through you all over again. And just this feeling of warmth kind of goes down to, later in life as she gets older, having that connection to teach her identity and having her feel comfortable. It also goes for me how I feel comfortable being a father, and kind of going back to the foundation of saying I do, and just just reliving that whole experience again. That connection is just so beautiful.
And I think there's just like a lot of trust that gets developed there, like especially at that age when everything is new, everything is exciting, and they're curious. And when you have that connection, they're like, Mom, is this okay? Like, can I go do this? And you're like, yeah, go be independent. Like, I am right here with you. Like, trust me to know that I will be here in case something happens, or it is okay to do that. Or, hey, no, that's a little scary. Like, let's think about this. Let's, look at this before we jump in. So.
I would also just add just the sense of belongingness. I feel like it's setting the stage for the foundation of their relationship with God that we hope that they have later on, is if they have that nurturing environment, like feeling safe and secure, and like you said, like a sense of belongingness on a team with each other. I feel like it's setting the stage for the relationship that we desire for them to have with God, their Father. I mean, hopefully earlier than later in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we see that. I know we talked about connection with older kids first, but this is where it starts. And it starts as an infant, building trust and holding your baby and building that secure attachment there. And then it just continues as they get older and older and get to build that trust with us as parents, so that when they're teenagers and they have a really hard thing that they need to come and talk to you about, you've already done the work to create a safe place, hopefully, for them to come and share that with you. And if they're disconnected, that's not going to happen. And I'm sure some of us, I know for me, I didn't have a necessarily super connected family growing up. And so I didn't necessarily have that foundation of safety. And so then you're going around looking for it, and not everybody looks for it in the right places, Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was going to say, and I love what Aaron said, that it starts really early. And even just thinking back when Samuel was a baby, which doesn't seem like that long ago, even though it was almost 9 years, it does start so early. And I just remember doing certain things very intentionally and just carrying those on up, like little things like tucking him in. Carrie and I would tuck him in together and usually pray with him or over him as an infant. And we continue to do that today to the point that he really looks forward to that. It's like one of his favorite things. And if I'm late getting home from work or whatever, he's like, can we please wait for our prayers until Dad gets home? It's just it's a great bonding thing. And it's something that gives him a lot of comfort, a lot of peace.
So what are some of you guys' favorite ways that you can think of right now to connect with your kids?
Well, I'll start. I mean, from an activity standpoint, we are a very outdoor active family. And I think that anything outside as a family that we're all three together, so whether it's hiking or biking or rock climbing or doing a nature walk. And it's funny because we oftentimes, it's noticeable when we go, usually we'll run and then he'll ride his bike next to us on the river trail. And sometimes I count the number of I love yous that we get. Like he's riding ahead of us and I love you. I love you, Mama. I love you, Daddy. And sometimes it'll be 10 times, like just on that one run or bike ride. But he doesn't even realize that he's doing it sometimes, because it's that I'm feeling comfortable, I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling loved that's coming out, and it's just an automatic response for him. So I would say that that's one of our primary ways, is anything that we can do outside together as a family.
Yeah, I think that specifically, like the nuances that we're all together, we're all doing something, we're kind of in a group moving along, and it speaks to his soul. Like it is so cool, and it connects. And Carrie, what she said is he will just start throwing out the I love yous. He'll even start giving us encouragement. You're doing great, Dad. Mom's not beating you that bad or whatever, but he's so funny, but it is fun. And we'll just start counting the I love yous that we get along the trail. And he's a sweet kid and he says, I love you a lot. But when we're doing activities like that, whether it's a hike or a bike or something, we get a lot of them. And so it just tells me that it speaks to his little kid heart that we're all together doing something.
Yeah, and so I love that you guys talked about doing, connecting the three of you all together, right? Because that is, I think, it's really important as much as we can and is within our control, which it's not always in our control, but to have a connection with mom and dad and child together rather than just two completely separate relationships, right? Like mom and son and dad and son. have you guys found that to be true too? That like connecting with littles together is different than connecting with her individually?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a different environment. Like I get to see how she interacts with him, and yeah.
Yeah, well, summed it up there.
I know. I
Man,
thought I was going to say more, and it just didn't happen.
it's okay. No, like I can think of things because she's 2.5, so it's fun just experiencing everything new with her. For me, it's like, okay, I'm putting my boots on. What's the big deal? It's like, I'll tie your shoes. I'll tie your shoes. And she just sits there and like,
Very
okay,
useful.
thanks. I'll get the rest, And, but even like, not even just like fun things to do or like playing, but hey, I want to cook in the kitchen with mom, and hey, I want to wash dishes with you. Like those are like not fun activities to me, but she's like, oh, I would just want to hang out with you. It's that connection that starts from really young, and that's with anything you do. It doesn't have to be just playing in the grass or playing outside, but it's also just getting dressed in the mornings or just brushing our teeth together, making fun of each other, and it's in everything. And so I think that's
Yeah,
great.
I love that you're pointing out that it's the nuanced, day-to-day, itty-bitty little things, in addition to the bigger intentional, let's go do something that adds up, to make one whole thing. Have you guys found, like, the way that you connect as a family is outside? As Samuel's gotten older, do you guys connect differently with him individually? Like, what does that look like for a mom versus a dad?
For sure. And I do want to add on what you said, though, because it's the daily rhythm. I think that is super connecting. So I just wanted to just add on absolutely the family rhythm. I would say yes, because I am an active mom, but not quite at the level that he is, that boy play. So for me, some of our most connecting times are our read aloud times. And I know that you're a read aloud mom too, and you give me lots of book ideas. And it's so sweet because just waking up in the morning is like, that's what he wants to do. Like I'm usually reading my Bible and he'll come sit on the couch with me and cuddle. He'll have a book and then he'll say, can we read a chapter? And so I think that is one of our biggest ways as a mom and son. And then just also, since I have homeschooled most of his childhood, is the nature walks that we do, and where we're actually like, we're going to learn something, and we have an agenda a little bit, but he just loves to just explore with mom for school specifically.
Yeah, school is one of my biggest ways to connect. So Deacon is 10. And so he's our only one that's still in that kind of younger age. But for both of my kids, stories have been my primary way of connecting with them because they open up a whole new world of adventuring together, and you can experience all kinds of things and learn all kinds of things together and talk about, it brings up all kinds of character and grit, and you just get to see these characters develop in the arc of the story that it takes a much longer time in life, right, to see that. And in a story, you can see the development of somebody. So stories are definitely my very, very favorite way. I usually have like a specific book that we're listening. We do audiobooks mostly in the car because we've got quite a drive into town every day. But I'll have like one with the kids together and then one with each kid separately. And it's just a super special time for us. And when they were little, songs. Like we sang all the songs, and my daughter watches Littles, and so she's taught her some of the songs. It makes my heart so happy.
It is really cute. And for me to like learn Brooks's songs and then to have them like do them it's really cool to watch that like it get passed on even outside of our family. It's really special.
What about you as a dad?
Yeah, there's different ways that we connect that he and his mom don't necessarily do. Probably one of the big ones is in the wood shop, I would say. I've always been a hobby woodworker, and now I'm actually trying to make a full-time vocation out of it. But I've always had a wood project going on. And from the time Samuel could hold a sander or a handsaw, he has been out there wanting to be doing what I was doing. And so whether that's, nature or nurture, I don't know. Whether it's in his blood and DNA, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely seeing that he is gravitating to it as much as I am. And it's just a joy. Like, the time passes for us. Many times he makes a bigger mess than I really was intending to make, and I just kind of let it go, I'm just like, I'll clean that up later. He's tearing things up. He's pulling out glue and spray cans, and I'm just like enjoying the time more than anything, rather than trying to have a ultimate objective. It's more just like me and him time. So that's probably the biggest thing outside of mom. The other thing that Samuel and I've been doing that's pretty intentional to connect like father to son is about every quarter, no less than twice a year over the last 3.5 years, we do a guy talk. And so we'll take a journal and we'll usually go grab breakfast or a donut or something. His favorite is going to McDonald's and just getting a McDonald's breakfast. For whatever reason, he thinks that's like the best ever. He looks forward to that more than our conversation. But the conversation is important because we'll journal like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? How can mom and dad support you? Like, what are your goals and aspirations? We journal those things. We talk about any troubles or questions that he's having, like if he's having conflict at school or with another friend, and how to kind of deal with that on a man-to-man kind of level. And then like how to honor mom and just other important subjects. But we dedicate a little bit of time every quarter to doing that. And I tell you, he is like glowing after we have those conversations. And I have them all documented to read at his rehearsal dinner someday.
That's so smart. Love it. I was kind of laughing when you were talking about him making a mess in the wood shop, and then thinking about you saying that Littles likes to help in the kitchen. And I'm remembering Brooks when she was little, right? And baking with her, and the mess, right? The mess that it would make in the kitchen. And this is going to lead us exactly into the next question so well. But she'd make this big mess. Well, now she's like running her own baking business. Like, because I let her be messy, and I taught her to clean it up, and now she can bake all day long, and I come home and the kitchen looks like she never touched it, and it's so cool now to begin to see the fruit of that. But when she was little and she made the big mess, it was like an immediate source of me wanting to be in control. And that was probably still is like the biggest place of disconnection for me with my kids, is when I try to control them. And so, I would get super flustered in the kitchen or freak out about, a mess that got made or whatever, and try to grasp for control. And it was like shut down immediately. So what have you guys noticed in the thick of it right now as the things that disconnect you most from your kids?
I know for me is work. And the reason I say that is because Littles is with me at work. So there'll be times where it's going great, and she can type on her little play computer and I'll be working on things, but then she wants attention. She's 2.5, and I'm like, let me just finish this email, please. And I'm in that overwhelming state. And I'm just like, no, please just stay over here so I can finish what I'm trying to get done. And then it's like, oh, I just messed up. Dang. And there's this what is most important? Yes, I'm here working, but what am I teaching her in that moment? What is she learning? And that's probably for me the hardest thing to balance, is having her here while I'm extremely blessed that she gets to do all of the things with me. In those moments where I'm just trying to get stuff done, it can be a little difficult.
Yeah, the to-do list is a for real challenge.
Yeah, I would say that hurry, anything that I'm trying to hurry to get done, it's like Samuel shuts down, and I just need to slow down and do life at his pace. And it's connecting, and I can still accomplish things. I just don't need to be in a hurry about it, because I think that what he innately realizes is that I'm prioritizing the objective of what I'm doing over him and the time with him. And so he feels that, and then he'll just sometimes walk away, and it was a missed opportunity. So.
Yeah, we can't we all mess up in that, right? We all choose the task sometimes over connection. It's just part of the, I think, adult drive, right? To be responsible and get things done. And our kids have to learn that as well. But it does feel bad when you recognize oh man, I chose the to-do list over my kid. I do that in school with my kids. I care more about getting the lesson done and checking that box off than I do about teaching them to read actually, or learn to love or whatever. And I read the John Mark Comer's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry a couple of years ago, and I was like, this hurry thing is the biggest source of anxiety for me with my kids. When we're trying to get out the door or we're trying to go somewhere, and I suddenly turn into like monster mom because they're not moving at the pace that I want them to. And it was such a light bulb moment for me to go, you know what? I'm going to set my goal to leave between this time, and I'm going to give us a window of 30 minutes to leave so that we can take the time to process and do all the little extra things and not feel so rushed all the time. Yeah. What have you noticed, Aaron, as your source of disconnect?
I think for me, when I come home from work, sometimes if I had a really long, hard day, and I know a lot of people probably feel the same way, it's just, okay, I want to turn my brain off. I just want to relax. I just want to, okay, I'm off of work. But that's not the mindset of a parent, and that's not the mindset of a leader in your household, because it's when you come home, sometimes it is some extra work that needs to happen. That's the communication between your wife and or your significant other, and to let them know, like, okay, I'm starting to feel I'm getting to that level where I don't have that patience anymore. And with a 2.5-year-old, it's energy. And I'm like, I don't have any more energy. I gave it to my job. They have it. And she doesn't understand that. It's playtime. It's time to do this, time to do that. And I think the biggest thing that's helped myself and us, I believe, is knowing where that line is for yourself, and then communicating that with your significant other, saying it's like, hey, I need some extra help maybe tonight, or because if you cross that line, you're just gonna have shame and regret of like, I just went off on my 2-year-old. I mean, how big do you feel after that, and so there's a humbling moment there, because you're the leader of the house and she's always looking at you. So every action, and even if you work a lot or work a long hours, work 6 days, 7 days a week, and maybe you see your kids very little, it's that little bit of time is how they're going to remember you. And if you do, if you do a dangerous job, it's letting go of the smaller things and just letting them know that I love you, I care about you, and I want to put your needs in front of mine. And sometimes I will fail at that, and but to humble yourself and work together, because it's a team effort. People that are single parents and everything, I tip my hat to them, because that's incredible. And I know there's times that it's tough, and you need to reach out, and sometimes family's not close, or your friends might not be reliable to watch a 2-year-old or any age old. Getting plugged into a church is one of the biggest things that's helped us too. And so trying to utilize as much resources as you can, because you need to know your limit, your line. You're not super dad, you're not super mom, you're not, you're going to fail, and it's okay. Just acknowledge that and seek help.
I love what you said about acknowledge that. And I had a recent experience of something along those lines, and kind of coming home completely exhausted. And one of the ways that Sam and I connected, he wants to wrestle, right? So he just likes wrestling. And that's the last thing, is my knees are aching and I'm covered in dust and everything. I just want to take a shower and sit down and start dinner. And so I was like, Sam, not now, and then I realized it was breaking his heart, and I just needed to stop what I was doing, conjure up some energy. I said, hey man, Dad's had a really tough day. Give me a little grace. Let's go wrestle, And so I am learning as a dad to catch it quicker and try to pull out some reserves and just go be at his level for a little while. So I think that's such a good point.
Well, and acknowledge your limitations too. If you're like, actually tonight, that's not going to be the best option, but I would love to do that with you tomorrow night, right? and letting them know, like, we do actually all have limits and boundaries and all of that. That's really, really, really good.
And I think like communication is like key. I mean, I know that's kind of cliche to say, right? But even with Carter, like she's young, she probably doesn't know what I'm saying all of the time, but I'm still going to communicate to her as if she did understand, because one day she will. And there are things that she says or that we say and she kind of understands. And one thing that's helped for us is during dinner, we'll look at each other and be like, okay, what do you need tonight? It's like, well, Carter needs to shower or needs to go in the bath. I want to shower and I want like 30 minutes to read. It's like, okay, well, what do you need? And we kind of go through that, and that helps. And we can plan the rest of our night based off that. So
Y'all are brilliant.
I don't know about that, but
Shoot
we're
from the
trying
hip.
things.
Just trying.
But I love how you said the communication piece, because they're not too young to communicate with them. And the more you communicate with them like clearly, and they're going to be able to reciprocate and they're going to be able to do it back. That's what amazes me as a 9-year-old. Like our son can communicate really well. And I'm like, because we've been speaking into him for a long time.
Yeah, and even just like, all right, Carter, I would love for you to do that. Can you wait and give me 2 minutes? And now her favorite thing is 2 minutes, Mom, 2 minutes. So if I ask her to do something like, hey, can you put your shoes on? She's like, 2 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm going to honor it. Like, so she's picking up on stuff like that. And it's really cute. She doesn't say like minutes. It's like the kid version of minutes, but it's adorable.
We, about a year ago, we pulled out a feelings wheel that we got from Parent Q. I'll link that in the show notes. But and because Deacon, he would shut down or he would get really frustrated, and we're really working on this communication piece. And even for us to be able to identify as parents, like, I'm feeling exhausted or I'm feeling really frustrated right now or whatever. And so it was amazing to me to give, I think he was like 8 at the time when we gave it to him, gave him this feelings wheel when he was totally shut down, and he was able to pick out a word and then communicate how he felt about a situation. And it was like, suddenly he could talk about it. He just didn't have a word to put to it. And it was amazing. And so, like I said, yeah, we try to do that as parents too, because then again, like, okay, maybe your 2-year-old can't exactly understand their emotions, but you can start using those tools and that language, because then it's second nature to them when they are old enough to understand it.
And like, how huge is that? Like, even as adults, like there are things that we feel and we can't even articulate it. And to start that young, to where as they grow older, they get that emotional maturity and they're in those hard situations and can like verbalize, hey, I'm feeling really frustrated, even to your boss. Like, but there's that, hopefully that level of respect. And like, I love that. I think that's such a great idea.
Yeah, I hope that serves him well. We'll see the fruit of that as he gets older, but I know he's way better at it than even we are with Brooks, like, because we just didn't start that as early with her. So when you guys are disconnected from your kids, tell me, like, so for us, doing that feelings wheel is one way that helps us kind of reconnect when I can tell that his spirit has been crushed or he's just off or whatever. What are some ways that you guys have found to reconnect with your kiddos?
I would say intentional time at what fills him the most. So, like for Paul, probably wrestling. But I think even if there's a disconnection between the three of us, let's just say it's been a really busy season or there's distractions or life stresses. I mean, we have those rhythms of life, like Friday family movie night is really important on our house. And if it gets missed, he's like, well, what night is it going to be? And so I think it's holding fast to the rhythms that are really important to our family. Scheduling first, what matters most. And then you mentioned stories that are really important to you. And it's actually a way of like he's in a funk and he just is really upset. He's sad or he's angry. We've made up stories. It's how we've hiked really tall mountains without him complaining. Because if you tell him a story, he doesn't realize that he's hiking for hours on end. And so we've made up characters along the way. And yeah, we really just need to write books, and that's how we need to make a living. So it's like we'll actually bring up that story. We'll start talking about Rocky the raccoon or Sammy the squirrel or Sabine or whoever. I'm giving out all my character names.
Yeah.
Can you delete that? No, just kidding. So it is getting like, what are the things that get down to that take a lot of energy actually. So it's like, yeah, taking that energy to be intentional about what we know is going to fill his heart.
Yeah, I would elaborate on that and say the intentionality piece. Authenticity is really important. And what I mean by that, and I'll explain by saying what doesn't work first. my natural inclination, if we're disconnected, is starting to be joking and jovial and start to try and like make fun and light of it. And I think everybody sees right through that. Everybody's like, Dad, we're not laughing. Like, it's not cool. So then I just have to kind of be authentic and real and say, hey, sorry I was distracted this week, or sorry that I was frustrated because of these things. Will you forgive me? And let's kind of start over. And sometimes that helps. Like for me, it seems like when I have a heart to heart with our son, it opens up something. And for you too, I mean, obviously, but when we can connect at a heart level, that makes it a lot better.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot in the last episode. So as kids get older, like when a parent can humble themselves to apologize first and clean up their mess, what Micah and Josiah were saying, and they're like adults at this point, they were saying like, when you did that, Mom and Dad, that made us feel like it was good for us to clean up our mess then too, rather than just like, are you going to admit what you did that, that was wrong? It was so cool. What about you guys?
I think, at least with like Littles as who she is and like her age, her like those moments of disconnect are pretty fleeting. Like they're not very long moments. And I don't know if it's like the attention span and just like her age. But then I feel bad because I know that it was my fault. And it becomes, okay, like Mommy is so sorry that she yelled at you while we were cooking. Mommy got frustrated. Can you please help me? So I just try to turn it around as quickly as possible. Or, try to do something that she's interested in, and give her, an array of options. And granted, like, they're painting nails or like playing with dolls or something, something little like that. But just trying to give her the power to choose what she wants to do. And my mistake, I think, has been what's been most important to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Kind of Carter and I's disconnects would be kind of if she does something wrong and it's okay, that's no fun. It's time to go sit in your chair. And it's the fit and the yelling and the screaming, the crying all at one time. And kind of trying to be connected but also disciplining in a way that is showing that I love you. Yeah, this is no fun. We're going to sit in our chair. We're going to have to take some time here. But we're still connected. There was times where I messed up where it's like, okay, we're done. I pick her up and I'm just huffing over to the chair, plop her down. I'm like, all right, you're in timeout. And that's like, why did I act like a child? I acted worse than she did. I had a fit. And so controlling your anger, it's like, oh, you scratched me, or you hurt me, you punched me in the face, and had this intent of like wanting to hurt you. And now it's okay. Walking over to the chair, set her down. All right, we're gonna sit here until you feel sorry, and then you let me know. And then respecting that boundary, because it's now she knows sorry. So she says sorry, really cute.
It's so adorable. We'll be in the kitchen and we're just looking at each other like, it's so cute.
I'm doing something, and Jordan's over like, are you going to go get her?
She just wants a hug, babe.
Can you go get her? No, she needs to sit there longer than 5 seconds. But listen to her.
I love you, Dad.
She says it so... she sounds as pitiful as her sometimes. So I'm like...
wonder where she gets it from.
Yeah. So, and then... so, it's a challenge. I have to put them both in timeout sometimes.
She's perfected the pouty lip, too. It's great.
She has. It's a weakness of mine. But when I come back to, reconnect what she feels has been totally, her world is very small. And, you don't give her chocolate milk. There goes the world. That's it. And I'm like, okay. That you have to put yourself in their shoes. You're like, chocolate milk, come on. You wait till you get taxes, all right? You wait till you get all that stuff. But coming back to her, and just looking her into the eyes and just being like, okay, you know why you're sitting here. And she's talking. I don't understand what she's saying, but I'm just looking at her, Yeah, I could hear the change in her voice and just, I'm sorry. So it's not much better than the screaming and yelling. I'm like, okay, well, we want to listen to mommy, want to listen to daddy, and we still love you. Would you like to come down now? Yes. Okay, I need a hug. And, that brings back that connection. So you did a full circle of just, you're disconnecting in a way that of discipline, but in a way of love, without acting like a bigger child. So that's the biggest thing.
Well, and it's not really disconnecting as much as it is saying, like, I am going to have a boundary that you will be respectful and kind and loving to be close to me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's so good. And I wish we had been better about that with our kids when they were little. I also, Jordan, listening to you talk about playing Barbies or playing stuff, like, as a mom of a teenage girl now, I regret that I didn't learn to play well with what she was interested in then, because I could always talk her into what I was interested in. And I feel like I missed something there that I wish I had now. I haven't done a good job of practicing that. But we're out of time, which I can't believe I could keep talking to you guys all night. But as we close up tonight, I just want to encourage you as parents that whether your kids are 2 or 9 or 14 or 18, do not stop pursuing connection with them. When you do so, you get to show them God's heart for connection with them, and you're setting the standard for what they will pursue the rest of their lives. So it's such an important foundation to set. If this is the first episode you're listening to, go back and listen to the other ones. But we can't wait to see you. This is our last episode of this season, but we'll see you again next fall on season 2 of Beyond the Table.